Now I'm live. Let me not look at myself. How do you rank it? Alright, what's up, y'all? So, got my baby mama right here.
Hello.
And we want to speak about an experience that we had. Last Wednesday was one of the most traumatic, in fact, the most traumatic experience of my life. Talking about doing shrooms. And by the way, feel free to ask me some questions and talk to me about stuff. I'm going to be doing more of these live videos, whether people see them or not. But anyway, so Mariah's been getting shrooms in the mail, capsule form. She was taking them as a form of therapy, but we were trying to get high, trying to experience what it's like to be off shrooms. And we took quite a few at a time before, but I never really experienced anything. And at the time, I wasn't even smoking weed. But um, this particular time, the lady that she got the shrooms from in the capsules, she sent capsules and she sent um, the actual shrooms. And I mean I don't know the name of it, but the shrooms. And so that night we didn't have any kids and decided that we were going to take the capsules, take the shrooms, and smoke some weed. And man, that was so. I mean, we took the shrooms and then got in the shower. Then after that, we went to my car, smoked some weed, and pretty much by the time we got in, it was instant. Um, and I just remember like for a brief moment, just thinking, man, I feel really fucking good. I feel great, fantastic.
Yes.
And then I'm just on the bed and Mariah on the floor talking to somebody, video chat, and I said something funny or heard something funny, and I just started laughing uncontrollably. I was like, man, I cannot fucking control this shit.
It actually wasn't even. It wasn't as funny as we made it out to be. It was because the woman I was talking to, said that I looked like a tree. Okay, maybe it's a little funny, but not for as much as we were laughing, because we really could not stop. It was a lot.
Yeah. Where was I? Oh yeah. So I was just laughing uncontrollably, and then very shortly after that, man, the high started to increase. Mariah was laughing. Her laugh started to seem very demonic to me, and like I really started to freak out at this point. And I'm like, damn, I wonder if she's just laughing because she's in so much trauma right now, and like this is some type of defense mechanism. This is when I still had thoughts going, that I could kind of rationalize, like tangible thoughts in my mind, and again, I'm still freaked out. The television's on, but it's 2K, and when you're not playing for a while, the demo starts playing, so that's going, and everything hit me all at once to the point where like it was like an I want to say like an outer body experience, but my body was still very much like heavy, and my mind was moving extremely fast, and I could not get a grip. And at that point, like I really felt like I needed to get some type of control. And mentally, I'm just freaking out, man. I go to the bathroom, and I'm like, pain. Like pain feels like it's magnified, and then like um, so I was thinking to myself, I was like, wow. So if the pain feels that much intense, I wonder how pleasure feels. And so I tried to take a piss, and that felt really good. But I was still freaking out. I mean, at this point, there's like music playing in my head. It's like modern elevator music,
Hmm.
Like I don't know, man. I'm trying to think of a good example, but I think that type of music it'd be like something like from the Geico commercials with the caveman. The, everywhere I go, there's always something to remind me
Hmm.
of another place and time. So that type of music. Obviously, you can't hear the music, but I can hear like music like that. And I was very reluctant to look myself in the mirror. Someone was telling me not to because I would really freak out, but I did it anyway. And I looked in the mirror and was telling myself that I am fine. But and doing that made me feel a greater sense of doom, and it got even worse. So then I tried to sit on the toilet as because when I'm dealing with because I found that any substance that I take it heightens my anxiety,
Hmm.
or it heightens how I feel. But it just so happens that I'm anxious a lot when I take substances, and so that forces me to go to the bathroom, and take bowel movements. So I sit on the toilet, and I because I'm very self conscious about like my heart. I like to take these precautions that I run my hand under cold water while I do it. And so what I realized at this point is like I'm shaking uncontrollably. Like I'm looking at my hand as it's over in the sink, and it's just like I don't know. Obviously, I can't see myself because it's a delay. But if you can see my fucking hand, it's it was just like shaking uncontrollably, and I'm like looking at my limbs, and it feels like it's not even a part of me. Like that shit was just fucking scary, man. Like, and then like you look at the walls, and like you can see like the lines and the wrinkles, and it's just moving. It's just
Hmm.
and the walls are closing in. These white. I don't know if it's just because how bright the walls were, but these white walls feel like they were closing in, and the particular wall in front of me, because I guess it was the door to the wall, made it look like the door was my wall, and the wall beside it had formed a wall to the side of me. So it was like I was closed in an even smaller box, like the tub no longer existed in this room because the wall in front of me had become the wall to the side of me. Um, so that was really tough. And then when I got out of the room, and I went to Mariah as she was starting to finish up her conversations. Like I found myself trying to get comfortable under a cover beside her, but I just could not do it. And then after a while, she got off, and I was just like, I was really broken down. It really felt like I had no masculinity in me at all because I felt like I was fighting for my life. So I was just like, you know, you I'm having a bad trip, and you were on the phone, you were on the
Hmm.
video chat, so I was all alone. That it really felt like that. It really felt like I was just like very defenseless. I felt extremely defenseless. Like just no pride, all my pride aside, all my ego aside, all my fight, and just true vulnerability. Like the shell has been cracked, and it's just everything that's left vulnerable, easy pickings. And so she kind of got into a mode where, in fact, you could explain what it was like at that point.
So at that point for me, I was still when Milo had came out of the bathroom and I was off of my call. Um, he came to me and he was like, Mariah, I think I'm having a bad trip. And when I was on the phone, like prior to him telling me that, I was doing a lot of laughing. I felt very, very euphoric. I felt like I was seeing colors vividly. The only thing that gave me any sort of fear at that point was the pace that my heart was beating. But I sort of like tried to calm myself and let myself know, like, hey, you've taken a substance. Your heart rate changing is like a regular thing. You're fine. So at that point, I was still feeling very, very euphoric. When Milo came in and let me know that he was having a bad trip, I think that's when the smallest wave of doom hit me because I had realized that prior to us taking the shrooms and smoking, I didn't even think about the possibility of if one of us were to have a bad trip. I was not prepared for that. So that was when the first small wave of doom hit. Like, I'm not going to be able to, whatever trip is about to happen for him, I'm not going to be able to really influence it. I'm just going to have to wait it out for him. So in my mind, I was already trying to prepare myself for things to become, I guess I can say, way worse than what they actually were. I was prepared for Milo to, be like running around crazy, like hallucinating, seeing entities. Milo's a pretty spiritual person, and I know that shrooms, they're psychedelic and they can sort of open you up to other realms. So I was prepared for like different things, literally, like different things to start flooding in and taking his attention and taunting him. Like I was preparing myself for the absolute worst. Thankfully, um, nothing like that happened. We didn't have any run-ins with any like outside entities or anything, anything otherworldly in that way. Um, but what it did essentially was it just snapped me into a mode where I wanted to make sure that I could make things as comfortable and as peaceful as I could. And as I began to like first start, well, I guess I can call it trying to take care of you. I was trying to like adjust the cover with him on the bed because at some point Milo couldn't. The weight in his body was like so major that he couldn't even do small things like twist and turn his body around. So I was doing what I could to help him to be as comfortable as possible in the bed. I was trying to check in with him mentally because for me, as I was beginning to take care of him, that's when real doom started setting in for me. And the only way that I was able to escape it at that point in the trip was to talk, was to, avert my attention to something outside of me. So, like, trying to ask Milo questions and, like, what's on your mind right now? How are you feeling? How does your body feel? Because my thoughts were, if I'm struggling, if my internal scape or void is the worst part of it, and I'm able to get somewhat out of it by talking, that means I want him to talk too. Because just in case the shrooms were hitting him the same way they were hitting me. But yeah, it just snapped me into sort of a caring mode, and I sort of was able to create my own little anchor through caring for Milo, which is something I'm so grateful for because without the need for that anchor, I think I had a bad trip, but I would have had way worse of a trip had I not been in that mode. So that's where I was at that point of the journey.
Yeah, man. So yeah, like you were like nursing me, and you kept giving me water. I don't even know how many bottles I went through,
Hmm.
but you were giving me water. You kept trying to talk to me, but like I really couldn't talk. I could honestly, for the first time in I mean, damn near my life, I felt like I didn't even have thoughts. I thought all of my thoughts went away. I could not find the words to answer every question that's been asked me, and I so desperately wanted to have control. So when the and wanted to feel safe. So
That's all you kept saying for
yeah,
a while.
that's all I kept saying. That's all I could manage to say is that I just want to feel safe because I did. Like, it was the most horrifying experience of my life, and it really does put in perspective a lot of things that I have worried about. A lot of this little shit, a lot of these little things they don't even matter anymore. Like I don't fear if anybody does, if people don't like me. I don't fear if somebody's going to try to commit a crime against me. Like I just don't because like that shit was within me, and like I could have called the fucking police and they couldn't save me from that fucking shit, from that doom. Like my mama couldn't save me from that shit. I feel like Mariah couldn't save me from that shit. I just feel like that she was making it more comfortable for me to rest in peace, to really die, because I really thought that that's what's happening. And I almost wonder if I got into a mindset where I could really control my fate at that point. because there at my peak, the peak of my high, I really did get to a point where I thought that I was seeing the light. I really did. I thought that I was getting extremely close to seeing what it was like on the other side. And it didn't feel like sleep because I wasn't tired. Because I wasn't tired. And
Ever had sex on shrooms?
yeah, I was trying to put that aside so I could
We get there in the journey.
yeah. I'll talk about that, but pretty much no. I mean, we haven't done it that many times. For what haven't had shrooms that many times, I should say. But damn, what was I saying? Yeah, I thought I was breathing my last breath, and I finally stopped fighting. I stopped resisting, and I just let it take me.
I feel like I could see it too. At certain parts, at this point in the trip, I like looked at Milo and like I had him as wrapped up as I could get him in those covers, and I could see his skin like wrinkles forming like on his skin, and under his color there was like this undertone of like a gray or like a washed out pigment under his skin,
Hmm.
and it was very interesting. Um, yeah, because Milo's been telling me for many years that he just feels tired, like just fucking tired in general. And I feel like all that tiredness showed up like on his face physically. So it did. It was scary for me as well. But I never read it like you were actually going to die. If I actually would have thought that, I would have gotten help. I wouldn't have just made a nice little cocoon for you to transition out, you know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have allowed for that. Yeah, Maya. Oh, mio. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Maya. That's Yamo Jackson, Orisha.
Hmm.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
Our people out here. What's up? I'm actually a child of Obatala, but Oshun is actually my mother, Orisha. But I love Yamajai as well. Thank you for that. It's like a one of the highest compliments I think I've ever even received. But go
Um, so how much am I able to talk about?
you can talk about everything.
Oh,
We can get
okay.
real. We can talk about the experience.
All right. So in the historically, when I'm really tripping, because I started having that experience while smoking weed for some reason. If I'm not careful with how much I smoke, I would use sex as a way to make me kind of feel better.
Mm.
It actually helps me get through it. And for some reason, if blood is like flowing down to my dick and all that, I feel like everything's okay. Because if you have a heart problem, because that's always where my mind goes. Or I
Mm.
might be having a heart attack or whatever. If you're having a heart problem, chances are you're not going to get an erection. So,
Mm.
and it's like if so long as I can get it up or feel something in there, I feel okay. And so, as I'm starting to freak out, we come to the conclusion that maybe we should do something about that, get some blood rushing down there. And so Mariah tried to work magic,
It ain't worked though, y'all.
and it did not work. I was extremely shriveled up. Like it was, probably so shriveled up. It was like I had a fucking clitoris. I mean, like my balls were fucking shriveled up, and like it, I could feel sensation, but it brought out all of the pain that I was feeling elsewhere, and I just could not get it up. I mean, at this point, my body hurts so much. I mean, my back is burning, my arms are hurting. There's definitely pain in my arms. Uh, um, and a great deal of heaviness on my chest. I remember telling, kind of pushing her off me a little bit because I was confused as to where all this weight was coming from, and I was trying to see how much of the weight on me was her and how much was just
Mm.
what I felt. But so I was feeling those things, and ultimately, I had to call it off because I was just, again, man, I'm freaking out the whole goddamn time mentally. Now, outwardly, I can't get a word out. I'm not like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Mm-mm.
But there is a lot going on in my head. There is deep conversations having, like there are debates happening, and I'm like, I told her, man, it feels like I'm going to die, and she told me that that I'm not or whatever, but it really got to the point in my mind where it's like she's wrong, and she's the last person that's going to see me alive, and she's nursing me right now into my death, just making me comfortable with it. And I gotta imagine what I feel right there. It couldn't be any different from what a lot of people feel as they about to pass over.
Mm.
Like there was a little point where fear was gone, and
Accepting.
yeah, I was accepting. I was making peace with it. Like I swear to God, I felt what it feels to breathe your last breath. I, I just felt it, man. And I don't know what brought me back because I don't really know if there was a thought, that really kind of ignited everything else and made me get up. But just a few moments after that, things trend, started to trend, upwards. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, this trip was over the course of about 4.5 hours.
It wasn't more than that?
Nah, no, because we took it at 7:20.
8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2.
Yeah, well, we went to bed. We went to bed at around 2. I would say
Mm-hmm.
at about 1 something. I would say that we were pretty much good.
Yeah, there must be a little bit of a lag. Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
oh, sure.
yeah. Well, yeah. So yeah, we're pretty good after I say about 4 hours because the trip ain't really hit till like an hour after,
Right. Right.
pretty much. So, man, where was I? What was I speaking?
You were talking about feeling like you were gonna die and
Oh yeah,
accepting it,
oh yeah, yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, accepting it, and at this point, like I'm definitely sick. I'm definitely nauseous. Trying not to throw up while sipping water.
Mm-hmm.
Either before or after the moment I just spoke on, and I'm able to sit up a little bit, and I found peace in just staring at the wall in front of me because it reminded me of where I just came from. You know what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
mentally, I'm just not there anymore, and I'm trying to bring it back. And as I'm looking at these everyday things that I already that I always see, they don't see. It doesn't seem like the norm. So that's why I feel myself trying to
Mm-hmm.
control things. And I didn't want to have to keep going up to go to the bathroom because I felt extremely weak, but I had to keep doing that. So I had to keep going to the bathroom and just releasing. And I'm trying to think of a turning point. Yeah, I think a turning point was, obviously, time helps. And
Mm-hmm.
honestly, I couldn't tell you what was happening at this particular time, because in my mind, this took place over the course of like a goddamn hour. It went by fast. I mean, it seemed like it
It
lasted.
felt like it lasted
You're
forever.
right.
It
It
felt like
seemed
I was
right,
never gonna come
right. It
out.
seemed like
Yeah.
it was last forever, but it also seemed like it went by in the blink of an eye. So it's weird. So naturally I would understand, like, okay, 4.5 hours. That sounds about right. But it was I had a tough time, trying to distinguish like where all the time went. You know what I'm saying? It just seemed like an eternity and just a flash in the pan at the same time to me in some weird way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I guess because I was just extremely present. I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Like I was extremely present. All my thoughts were gone, and I'm focusing on got this calamity right here. and I'm about to pass over after a night of thinking I was just gonna have some fun. Like it was
That's
terrible.
crazy. Yeah.
So I guess the turning point was it was probably after a few bathroom breaks, and I'm just like, "Hey, what's up, Sloan?" Well, I mean, that's on you. I mean, I got videos out there. I've been uploading them, so and I know you ain't see them all. So I guess the turning point was that I'm getting up every once in a while and I'm laying down. I'm not cold anymore because throughout I was extremely cold.
Mushrooms will kill your fucking ego.
Yeah,
Facts.
exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Yep, that's what happened. It did kill my ego.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I definitely found that. Well, since we want to talk about killing the ego, because that's a big thing. Um, just throughout, with all the begging that was going on in my mind and thinking about what really matters to me, it made me want to put a lot of things aside. Made me want to push a lot of things to the side and really prioritize. And I said, even though I didn't uphold this quite, I mean, just yet, but I was just basically saying to myself, I was like, man, if I make it through this, like I'm going to do the things that really matter to me. You know what I'm saying? Really get some meaning out of this life, and man, I just see things in a different light, and like I'm not about to let fear dictate. I'm definitely gonna push through that shit.
So jealous of you having a good trip. So jealous of that.
Oh yeah. No, I would probably microdose if I do it again, man. Like that was horrible for me, man. I didn't even do 3 grams, but the weed probably really sparked it up. Sparked it up, man. I don't know.
But we also took that raw one as well. So the capsules, we did 2 capsules. So that was 1 gram. And then we did that on top of, we each took a mushroom.
Yeah, but the mushroom's like a gram, wasn't it?
I don't know. I have to actually reach out to the supplier and be like, hey, what exactly is the math on this? How much did we actually take? Because I need to know that for future trips too, so I can know, let me not go anywhere near my limit.
Yeah, so as time goes by, we get in the bathroom again because she has to go, and I'm feeling better.
We did everything together too, y'all.
Yeah, we did everything together.
We did not leave each other's side for
the fucking
hours.
bathroom together, and then finally I had this thought of one thing that I always do when I'm having troubles with my highs or whatever is that I'll take a shower or something or get in the bath. So I suggested that we get in the bath, and we got in the bath together.
That was very healing too.
Yeah,
Going to the water was very healing.
That was when I really found myself out of the dark. Now I was still having trouble kind of back and forth with the.
We still couldn't talk about it
on the doom side. Yeah, couldn't talk about it. Yeah, it was exactly. We're still like still dealing with those feelings of doom. Like even again, like the walls were closing in. That was definitely happening to me. The lines were moving. Anything that was close in sight was moving. So I tried to look away. Try to look further out. Yeah, but as we were getting in the tub and keep getting the hot water running, at this point we're making jokes and
that helped. Yeah. Laughing was healing as well.
Yeah, and at this point, like I'm like, okay, no matter what bit of pain I feel in my body, I'm just gonna sit through it and just like, if it kills me, it kills me. But I'm not about to sit here worrying about it because I could be worrying for nothing. Yeah. Just kind of perpetuating it. So like, if it's gonna take me out, well, hey, what can I do about it? So like, that really poured out a great deal of bravery on my behalf, and like that's something that I'm taking with me, and it's even though it's starting to become more and more of a distant because time goes by, like I'm really trying to hold on to my experiences that day, kind of a never forget moment. Just the amount of doom that was in my mind, like it's really scary when you feel like you can't run away from something.
I feel like I couldn't even really properly conceptualize what doom is. I do want to try at some point in this video to talk about the doom and like to flesh it out and give it color and depth and try to really articulate what that feels like. Because I think that sort of changed the course of my life a little bit to have experienced that. So you would say the water for you was like definitely a turning point for you in the trip?
Yeah, and also what you said was like, if you tell yourself you're going to be okay, then
that's when I started having the turn of my trip. That was actually before we got into the water. That was before we got into the tub. We were sitting on the bed, and at one point, and Milo mentioned that I was like laying on him just a little bit. Like I think I had maybe my leg over him or something. And
Yeah.
at one point he said, because he mentioned not being able to differentiate. Okay, what weight is in my body alone, and which weight is Mariah's weight.
Hmm.
So he at one point said, "Side by side, please." And when he said that, I feel like I went to another place. So trying to like so weird. Shrooms are so fucking trippy, of course. But at that point, like right up until the point where he said that he wanted us to sit side by side, um, I felt like I was in a forest. I don't know if anybody on this live has seen like Snow White. There's this part where she escapes the castle and she's in this dark forest, and there's all these voices and sounds and ruffling coming from all these different areas, and she's in pitch black, but you could see pairs of eyes like from all directions. That's what it felt like to me at that point in the trip when I was laying on him and we didn't really have that many words to share. But I remember like laying on him and feeling like in the forest at some points that I was taller than him. Like when I felt most okay, well, I really wasn't okay at all, but when I felt, a semblance of being okay, I felt like us standing next to each other in that forest that I was taller than him. And then at certain points I would start to sort of trail off and like lose that feeling, and doom would start taking over, and then Milo in that forest would feel taller than me. And I really was sort of going back and forth in my mind about that. Like, does this mean, like, am I his protector? Like, is this what this trip is revealing to me and showing me? Am I his protector? um, because he was a little bit worse off, I'd say, in the beginning. And what I've come to realize is we were each other's protectors during that time. Um, and I think that sort of leads me to like one of my biggest revelations throughout this trip. And it's that um, relationships are not about necessarily like fighting each other's battles. It is about holding space and being present while people fight their own battles, and that's what it felt like. And it felt good because I felt like I wasn't necessarily losing my selfhood,
Hmm.
and that he wasn't losing his selfhood, and that we were going to come out of it stronger for that reason. And then also with the doom as well, the doom of like being overtaken by it, which I guess we'll talk about that maybe like later on, trying to flesh that shit out, and you can talk about how doom hits for you and what that looks like and feels like.
Hmm.
But for me, um, there was a certain part in my journey before we got in the tub, like before we got up and went to the bathroom together, where I said, when I tell myself that I'm okay, for a hot second, I really am okay. And then like I started gaslighting myself a little bit, and it's like, am I just saying that? Like, am I just saying that because I don't want to accept the fact that I do not have any control, or am I really okay? So then I had to like experiment with that thought a little bit more, and I found that every time I was able to tell myself that I was okay and believe it, it really was the truth. The doom would completely subside. But when
Hmm.
I got distracted and I stopped paying attention, the doom would come back and sort of take me over until I'm able to, Mariah, you're okay. And I center myself in that thought again. So that was crazy because I think that we as people walk around with that power to sort of shift our realities and surroundings all the time, but you get distracted by life and by circumstances, and you forget
Hmm.
the innate power that we all walk around with every day. So for me, it was like, okay, so this is not even about the shroom trip. This is constant. I just never felt it before.
Hmm.
So that was a major thing for me. That was when my trip started to have that turnaround for me. And I know for you, it was when we actually got in the water.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that was like the nail in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think the real turning point was the second time I asked you. I didn't ask you if I was going to die. This time I was like, I'm not going to die, and I was crying at this point. and then
Yes, yes.
you said no. And I think it was around that point where I really started to realize that our relationship was never going to be the same,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
that you actually mean a lot to me, and that I couldn't imagine spending the rest of my life without having you around and stuff. And then
Same.
yeah, then when we got in the bath, I realized that even
Mm-hmm.
more, and then I was just like, you know, like this is what a lot of people wish for.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? To have somebody that's just have a relationship that's so broken in,
Yeah.
and then they fucking nurse you when you think you're dying, and then they've seen you at your absolute worst. Because that was my absolute worst, and it was almost like written in the goddamn book that at my worst she had to be the one to be around as a type of defining moment.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, damn, I forgot where I was going with that, but
Just talking about your revelations in general, some of your big takeaways.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it definitely that. I mean, because there's a lot, and as I was like trying to bargain with whatever the fuck was going on in my mind while I was experiencing this doom, like I was just thinking about how much my family really matters,
Mm-hmm.
and how I could be leaving my daughter behind damn near at the same age I was when I lost my father. Like almost 2 years old, and it's happening again. You know what I'm saying?
Life
Uh,
cycles.
yeah, like it's crazy, and that's the last thing that I wanted. You know, prior to even becoming a father. Definitely wanted to be in the picture, man. But it I was definitely inspired to do more. Like it was like I saw my whole life and flash in front of me, and that I
Mm-hmm.
saw all of the things that were missing, and I saw what I needed to do, and I saw what I needed to put aside.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as our relationship goes, I realized that it's changed because now when I say things, she don't necessarily see it as a direct attack. When I was trying to stress that to her many times, is that I get caught off guard when I go to war for you because I don't feel the need to put my guard up for somebody that I'm defending. And well, that's what I subconsciously convince myself. And then when she take it as an attack, she would attack me because she's offended or feel like I hurt her or whatever on purpose. And then then I find myself in the role of a victim, finding, like why would you do this to me when I'm trying to, like, I may say things bluntly because I was just trying to get to the point, but it doesn't mean because I don't care about you. Doesn't mean because I'm just trying to judge you or criticize you.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I've gone overboard as far as criticism without praising somebody. Um, but
That's growth
yeah,
that you can admit that, and yeah,
well, yeah,
yeah,
that's why I stopped doing it as much.
for sure, definitely.
Just mind my business for real. Just not speak. Not have this soapbox mentality when it comes to the rest of the world. Put myself out there on things that don't really matter much to me, but it matters to other people, and that's why they get sour faces about me and want to block me and stuff. So now I'm just trying to take a different approach in that regard, and just mind my fucking business and try to make a difference in the world. But
You're a projector, right?
yeah,
Yeah, projectors are supposed to wait to be invited.
right,
That's when the
exactly.
messages are received, and you guys are able to make the influence you're supposed to make. You
Hmm.
know,
Yeah, I just
that's
be
the strategy.
sometimes I just feel so desperate to be seen, but going through this experience really made me realize, and also a bit of literature that I consumed afterwards, it made me realize that first of all, that your longing to be seen is going to make you invisible,
Hmm.
and that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're fucking famous or whatever. Like it's all a fucking illusion. It's all whatever you make it. You know what I'm saying? Just build a great lifestyle for yourself. It doesn't matter if you have a million groupies or whatever. Just like on this YouTube, if I only got 6 people watching, or I got 5 people watching right now, You know what I'm saying? Then that's my audience. Then and that matters. You matter. Every
Absolutely.
individual matters. So I'm not gonna be like bullshitting just because I don't have a million subscribers. You know what I'm saying? So I might as well, just treat the people who are around as if they matter because they do. I mean, what the fuck, you know?
Yeah.
So that's where I am now, and that's my growth. My growth is to just to keep aspiring for all that I can get, you know. Or but let me say it this way: my goal is to you know not find myself in mundane. Thank you, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So my goal is to not end up living a mundane routine life that I hate, just ordinary life or whatever. Um, but still find a bit great deal of comfort in what I do acquire and the things that I do have going for me in life. And I think I'd be more happier that way if I end up living a lifestyle where I don't have a lot of people in my business, and I don't know if I'll be able to control that. But I just want to be, you know, first of all, I just want to be happy, and I want to be happy with the life that I build,
Mm.
because like I've heard before, if everybody, let's say everybody throw their problems on the floor, and when you go to pick up your problems, don't be surprised if yours are missing. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like I just try to keep that with me, know, for as long as I live, and just stay grateful and always be conscious.
Mm. Did you want to talk about?
Oh,
Um,
Doom.
did you want to talk
Oh
about
yeah.
Doom?
So with Doom,
How did that feel for you?
it
Like
it
how?
feels like nobody can save you. It feels like mono mono, like just it feels like I was about to say one on one, but like one versus the unknown.
Woo!
They're unknown.
One versus the fucking void.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's very. I mean, that's very similar to just falling out of the sky and landing into an ocean.
Mm.
Like it really felt like that, except for I didn't have to fight. Well, in a sense,
In
I
a
had.
sense, you
In
did.
a sense, I did, but one of my greatest weapons was surrendering
Mm.
or
I was so
or
proud of
choosing
you
my
too.
battles.
I was so proud. I thought you were going to be like lashing out and like outwardly, displaying your panic, displaying the fight, the conflict, the all of it. I thought it was gonna be on your countenance. I thought that you were gonna be losing your shit, but you really held your shit together. You really did. And it's interesting because like prior to being on that trip with you, I did not I didn't think that you would be the type who could do it. That takes strength and like mental and emotional control, and you needed stamina to like keep it up, keep doing it. And I was so proud. I was actually proud of both of us. I was really proud because that,
That was a very defining moment.
yeah,
I never been put to the brink like that, like pushed to
yeah,
the brink. I never. So, oh yeah, and by the way, if you like this video, please actually like it and leave comments so people can see it and share it. I'm never one to really ask for that. I need to start doing that more.
mm-hmm.
My channel is plateaued. I keep putting out videos, but it's not getting past 900 really. But at the same, and of course, to my point that I just made, obviously, I'm very grateful to have 900 subscribers.
Absolutely,
But
that's a lot.
I want this platform to open up more opportunities to network, to meet other people, and to get paid from YouTube, and because YouTube definitely affords me more luxuries after I get 1,000 subscribers. Like I can't even do a live chat until I get it on my phone. I can't do a live chat on my phone until I get 1,000
Hmm.
subscribers and all that. So, um,
And also, comment and all of that because it's good for community building. Like YouTube allows for people to funnel to one space who have a like mind and want to receive like a similar message and engage with certain ideas. Like this is, engage for community building as well.
Yeah.
All of that. So that was how Doom hit for you. For me, Doom hit the same way. Um, it felt like fighting. It felt like being like overtaken by darkness, and that's been like a hard thing like for me to even sit with because like in my spiritual journey, like outside of you know doing shrooms and like tripping, trying to have fun, because that's not necessarily a focused spiritual practice. But where I'm at in my spiritual walk, I don't necessarily forex trading and cryptocurrency for investment. Have you looked into that already? I feel like
Yeah, I have, but I
we need to
was
probably
not.
circle back to it. You
Yeah,
think?
I was checking it out as a desperate move.
Yeah, you
So
can't.
I would want to double back with that when I got more capital working for me.
Mm,
Because I already have a couple of ventures that needs my attention right now. But I'll probably circle back.
yeah. Um, but yes, the way that I understand darkness, I think that in this society, I think that darkness has like a negative connotation to it. But really, like anything that can be perceived as light is birthed from the darkness. Everything, like darkness is the springboard through which everything else is birthed. Literally everything else. So, like, I feel some sort of a way saying that doom feels like being overtaken by darkness. But instead of reading darkness as being overtaken by negativity, it was more so just being overtaken by the unknown. Like being overtaken and not knowing if I'd ever come back. Will I come back to my senses? Will I come back to my regular perception of life? Will I come back to who I am? Will I be damaged on this journey? Am I going to get hurt? Like so many questions, and that coupled with overwhelm and like your heart beating out of your chest. I can say as a person who has dealt with depression, for many years and things like that, I feel like Dune, this trip for me, like why it was so healing, even though it was a bad trip, is because it gave me something to compare depression to. Where now in my waking life, it feels like depression feels like a belly rub in comparison to having now been exposed to something deeper and darker that is doom. And that makes me feel like I live my life now with a little bit more confidence. And when I do feel myself swinging into like a depressive state, it doesn't hit me as hard because I know that there is worse. There is a worse feeling than being depressed. For me, I'm not going to speak on, anybody else out there who may be dealing with something similar. I won't speak to your
That
experiences.
shit much worse. I don't give a fuck. I'll say it.
I won't say it because you don't know how.
I dealt with years of fucking depression. I would take the feeling of depression over that fucking doom. That I for sure.
Man, I was saying that, like, trying to explain it to a friend fresh after the trip. I said that depression and anxiety feels like sea foam at the top of the ocean. It feels something just that's on the top, just riding the waves. Doom feels like the depths of the ocean, that part that is so deep and dark that, humans, scientifically, we can't even get down there yet. We can't even get to the core. We can't even get to the unknown. Like it's so far and it's so deep.
95% of the water is uncharted.
Which means that 95% of the creatures and types of bacteria, other matter, we can't even be exposed to yet. They're not at the surface. So depression and anxiety is a belly rub for me now. And that is very, very healing after, after as many years of dealing with it as I have. So that's another part of the journey that was extremely healing for me. Being able to put certain aspects of mental illness into perspective and sort of finding yourself even thankful that if I have to feel any sort of discomfort at all, at least it is this as opposed to that. So that's a big thing that I was able to take away from that experience for sure.
Yeah, so, and in the shower, when, in the tub where things started to get peaceful, I started to feel blood rushing down. And so after we got out of the shower, yes, we did have sex. You know, not so much tripping at that point.
I was still. Well, I feel like my
I
body
was
was
still,
still.
yeah, I was still
Yeah.
at this point. It felt like I had a nice high going for me. So
Mhm.
I was feeling good. I wasn't feeling any doom.
No more doom. Yeah.
I feel like it was time for healing.
Mm.
So we did that, and then just put Trailer Park Boys on, and that was funny.
Did some laugh.
Like that, and that was it. I probably won't be doing that anytime soon. If I do,
Be microdosing.
yeah, I'd be microdosing outside in a pool or something with some fluids around me, some water. Probably force myself to talk or have some shades on, whatever, man. But yeah, that was a crazy experience, man. Finally got to talk about it. I kind of wish I would have recorded while I was on the shrooms, but man, I feel like I was dead. So
you couldn't even talk.
I couldn't
it would
even
have
talk.
been just you looking at your subscribers, just looking.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't have been live. I would have been just trying to.
I was about to say live would have been a terrible idea.
Yeah. Watch a man die on camera. All right, man. With that being said, I'm out, man. You got anything else to say?
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yeah, more soon. All right, see you.